It's the second and final day of the ceasefire called by the Sri Lankan government in its military offensive against Tamil Tiger rebels. The aim is to allow civilians who are trapped by the fighting in a small pocket of the country to flee the hostilities. But reports say the opportunity has been taken up by just a handful of people so far. Well, earlier I spoke to John Holmes, the UN Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs, and I asked him for the latest news on the ceasefire.
The latest, I think, is that the humanitarian pause, or the halt to offensive operations by the Sri Lankan forces, is working. What we hope is that will enable us to get some more aid in there, but 2 days is very short for that, but also that it will give people a chance to get out of the area if they can. And of course, one of the problems there is that the Tamil Tigers, the LTTE, are not letting them out and not giving them a choice about whether to leave or not, so that's why they're trapped in this appalling situation.
And how would they transport themselves if they can get away and they can escape the LTTE saying, no, we don't want you to go? I mean, how would they get to a government-controlled area camp? Is it just a matter of walking a few hundred metres or a few miles, or is it a proper journey?
It's a matter of walking a few hundred metres into the government front lines, into the government-controlled area. The government forces will then take charge of them and move them backwards. It's 30 or 40 kilometres to where these established camps are now to receive them, and about 65,000 people have already done that so far this year. But as I say, there are 100,000 plus still waiting there to get out, who we believe are being held against their will by the LTTE, and indeed in many cases shot if they try to leave. And there was a very nasty incident just before this lull was announced, where they apparently killed 6 civilians who were trying to leave.
It's becoming pretty clear the end of this 26-year-old war is in sight, with victory for the government, the Sri Lankan government. Does that make it more difficult to sort out the affairs of these civilians? Is there a kind of desperation in the part of the LTTE that makes it a rather volatile situation there?
I fear that's exactly right, that they are the last sort of card, if you like, that the LTTE has, and that their military situation, I'm not a military expert, by all accounts and looking at the geography, is pretty hopeless. So the only choice for them, if they want to stop this, is to lay down their arms.
But with victory in sight to one of the two sides, diplomacy at the moment is going to be very difficult. We've seen the Sri Lankan government jettison Norway as a peace negotiator today on the pretext of Tamil problems at the embassy in Oslo. I mean, diplomacy is just not going to happen for the next few weeks. This conflict will run to the end, won't it, probably?
Well, we have to continue our diplomatic efforts.